Things have shifted again in Baltimore, and this time the warning lights are flashing even brighter. New details about Lamar Jackson's injury are out, and they help explain why the mood around the Ravens is anything but calm with the biggest game of the year right around the corner. Nothing here is small or random. Every word coming out of the building right now has real weight on what could happen once the game kicks off. What's really behind this decision, who's actually being prepped to run the offense, and why this goes way beyond a simple, is he hurt or not, is what changes everything in this story. Stick around until the end, because the pieces start coming together in a way very few people were expecting. When you look at how Baltimore is operating right now, it's clear they're not waiting on a miracle. Practices, meetings, and even the way the game plan is being built are all based on the idea that Tyler Huntley will be the quarterback against the Steelers. This isn't coach speak or a mind game for the media. This is real preparation, the kind that shows how the staff truly sees the situation heading into a massive matchup. That tells you a lot about where Lamar Jackson stands right now. If the team truly believed he'd be ready, the entire week would be about tailoring the offense to his style. That's not what's happening. Instead, Baltimore is focused on making sure Huntley is comfortable, confident, and ready to lead the offense in a game that decides the AFC North in prime time on the road against a historic rival. What makes this even more interesting is that this decision isn't coming from panic or a bad loss. Huntley just let a dominant win over the Packers, and that matters. When a backup steps in, does his job, and the team responds, coaches gain confidence. It's almost like the Ravens are saying, if we need to go this route, we already know exactly how to do it. And all of that brings us straight to the most sensitive part of this entire situation. Why Lamar still hasn't been able to get back on the field. The answer isn't just about conservative coaching or strategic caution. It's about his physical condition, which continues to raise real concerns inside the building. The core of this is actually pretty simple to understand. Lamar Jackson is still in a lot of pain. This back injury isn't something that clears up overnight. He's not practicing. He's being ruled out early, and the team is avoiding setting expectations. When a quarterback goes 7 straight weeks without practicing normally, that sets off major alarms around the league. Adam Schefter laid it out clearly. Right now, there's no solid indication that Lamar can be counted on for Sunday night. He might show up at practice. He might try to push it. But serious teams don't build plans around maybe. Baltimore needs certainty, especially against a rival that knows every wrinkle of their offense. Another important factor is that both Lamar and John Harbaugh have openly talked about how painful this injury has been. This isn't being hidden. It's not media exaggeration. It's real, and it limits movement, messes with throw mechanics, and turns every hit into a bigger risk. In a physical game like Steelers versus Ravens, that becomes a massive issue. And when you combine that constant pain with his recent history of missed time, the concern only grows. This isn't the first stretch he's been sidelined this season, and that buildup of injuries starts to explain why his year never followed the script anyone expected. If you watch Lamar for years, the difference jumps out immediately. The electric quarterback who broke plays, escaped pressure, and turned nothing into something special barely showed up this season. Injury after injury slowly took that freedom away, to the point where he's been forced to play more contained, more cautious, almost limited by his own body. Early in the year, the hamstring injury already disrupted his rhythm. Then came missed practices, lingering soreness, and now the back issue. Every setback breaks timing, kills momentum, and chips away at confidence. Quarterbacks live on rhythm, and Lamar almost never found it in 2025. That becomes even clearer when you look at his rushing numbers. Lamar was always a true dual threat, the kind of player who made defenses panic just at the thought of him running. This year, that threat nearly vanished. Fewer rushing yards, less explosiveness, and far fewer aggressive decisions outside the pocket. That doesn't just affect him, it affects the entire offense. When the quarterback stops being unpredictable, defenses relax, and that helps explain why. Even with respectable stats, the overall feeling is that the season fell short of what Lamar and the Ravens expected.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
At first glance, the stats don't look bad. Over 2,300 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, and only a handful of interceptions in 12 games would be considered a good season for a lot of quarterbacks. For many, those numbers would earn praise. But Lamar Jackson has always been measured by a different standard. The issue isn't just the totals, it's how those numbers were put together. There weren't many dominant games. There weren't stretches where the offense felt unstoppable. Too many games pass without that one play that flips momentum, lifts the stadium, and puts real pressure on the opponent. On the ground, the drop-off is even more obvious. Just 340 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns is low for someone who built his career on making his legs a weapon. That completely changes how defenses line up and strips a major layer of complexity from a Ravens offense. And when performance on the field dips, everything else gets louder. That's when off-the-field stories start gaining traction, even if they don't really connect to what's happening between the lines. In recent days, reports surfaced claiming Lamar had fallen asleep in meetings and that it was frustrating John Harbaugh. Stories like that spread fast, especially when a player is already dealing with injuries. But Harbaugh's response left no room for doubt. He said he's never seen anything like that he's in every meeting, and that the report simply doesn't match reality. He went further, emphasizing that their relationship is excellent and always has been. No passive-aggressive comments, no tension. Just a clear defense of his quarterback. That matters because it shows the Ravens' issue isn't internal. It's not about leadership or effort. The core problem is still physical. Lamar is hurt. He's trying to come back, and the team understands that. There's no broken trust or public fallout between player and coach. Even with all the uncertainty, Harbaugh's message is clear. Lamar Jackson is still a cornerstone of this franchise. The real question now is when he can truly be himself again on the field, and how Baltimore handles that decision in the biggest game of the season. Everything is on the table now. Lamar Jackson remains the most important name on the Ravens, but reality is forcing the team to focus on the present instead of the ideal. Injuries change the rhythm of the season, push tough decisions, and put Tyler Huntley at the center of a game that means division title, rivalry, and far more than just a win. This isn't drama. This is football in its rawest form. And that's where opinions really split. Do you think the Ravens are right to prepare as if Lamar won't play, even with so much on the line? Or do you believe that if there's any chance at all, Lamar has to be on the field no matter what? Put yourself in John Harbaugh's shoes and drop your take in the comments, because this debate is real and there's no easy answer. What we do know is this game will define much more than the AFC North. It could reshape the season's narrative, the direction of the offense, and even how Lamar is viewed moving forward. Now it's about waiting for Sunday night, because once the ball is snapped, all this talk turns into real decisions on the field.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.